So, Elise, I looked this woman dead in her eyes, and I said, welcome to the OC, bitch.
What you say?
I told you that it's time to start the show.
That you only meant well.
Yeah, the show's gonna do
Of
well.
course you did. What you say?
I said, let's go.
That it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like the best podcast.
What you say?
God, do I have to keep repeating myself?
Just what we need. You decided this.
Hold up, I
What
thought we
you
both
say?
decided to do this.
What did she say?
I said, let's start the show.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Whatcha Say, an OC podcast. My name is Elise Daly,
I'm Scott Daly.
and together
We're the Dailies. Yes, this is the weekly podcast where, I'd say weekly so many times, this is the podcast where each and every week, my wife Elise and
I
I
said it again.
take
Said
out
the word week
our
again.
sailboat and discuss the hit 2000s teen drama, The All See.
You know, we could just say every Monday or every Tuesday we sit down and just instead of saying weekly, you know, like try and think of different ways in order to say the same thing. That way we're not using the same words all the time.
I don't know. I don't like it.
Synonym
Hate it. In fact,
phrases.
I kind of hate what you're doing right now. I hate it. I hate it all.
I know. It's just because I do it. You have to hate it. Nothing new though. But before,
No,
Scott,
I haven't even
I thought you said
finished.
it.
This week
I
on
thought
the
you
show,
said what
we
you
are
were talking
covering
about.
season 1, episode 3. No, because see, here's what happens. You get so wrapped up in what you're going to say next that you're not actually listening to what I say.
I just don't listen to you regardless.
Ow. This
But
week on
you
the
knew
show,
that.
we are covering season 1, episode 3, The Gamble.
Yes. We are going to gamble. Take a gamble on this show, Scott. But before,
Like we've already done that.
yeah, we've done that. I don't know if it's paying off yet. We bet a lot. No return. At least it's not the slots. We didn't take it to the slot machine, Scott.
No, you never
We're
play
at the blackjack
slots.
table. We just don't quite understand the game yet.
No.
But we're learning.
We
We're
are.
trying. And we'll get there eventually. We're just going to keep throwing money down. We're just going to keep throwing it down.
I mean, you know, every gambling book says that's what you do. You just
Yeah.
keep... you
Your
just
odds
keep-
have to get better
Yeah,
eventually.
That's how odds work.
Right.
That's a sneezing
Right.
dog right in the middle.
Bless you, ghost. Okay, Scott. But before we talk about the gamble, we're going to do my favorite part of the show, your favorite part of the show,
what is
everyone's
that?
favorite part of the
What is that?
show.
What's that?
It's the Rosies and Thornies show segment. Here now.
Every rose has its thorn,
Has its thorn.
just like every night has its dawn.
Dawn, dawn, dawn.
Every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Every rose has its thorn. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, this is the part of the show where Elise and I look back on the last week of our lives and talk about the good and the bad, the roses and the thorns, the clouds and the sunshine.
You know what your function of the show is?
What is my function?
Is to
of the
explain
show?
everything. And you know what my function of the show is?
To not explain anything.
Is to just go rogue,
Yeah,
basically.
that is true.
Yeah, but this week, Scott,
As always, we start with the bad, Elise.
Yeah, I was going to say this week we're going to start with the bad, like
Well,
we
see,
always do.
Here's I always feel like I have to cover for you not saying the thing you're supposed to say.
Well, why don't you let me mess up before you don't let me try and
Okay,
succeed?
I will. That's a good note. I will take that note.
Yeah. Take it and actually apply it. Don't just take it and then push it aside.
Okay.
Scott, what was your thorn this week? What was bad?
My thorn
Yeah.
was a blowout on...
Oh, in the bathroom? Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Gross.
Those are nasty.
No, it happened on the highway, Elise.
Oh, gosh, that's even worse. Imagine the seats. The disgusting brown on the seat.
You are 30 years old now. Be mature.
Am I?
Yes.
Emotionally.
So this is a long weekend, right? And so I'm leaving work on Friday.
Yeah, early.
Excited for my
Yeah.
long weekend. And then I'm driving along in my car on the highway and suddenly bump, 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 bump.
Driving
Oh,
along in my
no.
automobile.
So in Dallas, there's a few toll roads. And one of the toll roads I take to and from work is like a big, huge toll road. So I pull
Yeah,
up.
how many lanes? Is it
It's
5?
It's like
Four or
well,
5?
So you're supposed to count all the lanes when you do that. So it's like a 8-lane highway.
Oh, yeah. It's a big highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I pull over to the side and I'm like, shit, and I get out of my car, and my tire is
Gone. It's
wrecked.
destroyed.
It's wrecked. It is, and this car is less than a year old, so something must have gotten that. I don't know how
a
it
year
happened.
old.
Yeah, it's a year old. Something must have gotten in. I must have rolled over. I don't know. I didn't even see. I thought I saw something sticking out of the tire at one point, but
Did they say whenever they took it in? No. Okay.
but like, so I'm on the side of the road, and like, this is a 75-mile-an-hour speed limit road, and the shoulder is not that great. There's not,
And the tire was on the left side.
and it was on the left side. So I'm
yeah.
like, fuck. How do I do this? So I get out my jack. And I get out my tire iron and I start working on the tire, and cars are just like vroom, by me like crazy, like barely even slowing down. And at one point I was just like, nope, I'm not gonna do this. So I climbed into my car and I pull it up my insurance company on my phone, because we do get free roadside assistance through our insurance company. And as I'm doing that, thank God it's a toll road. It's the North Texas Toll Authority. So a guy in an
angel in
NTTA
disguise.
truck comes up behind me. He's got the big truck with the arrow on the back of it, with the light arrow on the back, and he basically sits in the right lane, makes everyone move over, and he comes and changes my tire for me.
Way to cause traffic, Scott.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone that was
okay.
driving home to your long weekend. But yeah, so I had to get a new tire because the tire was shot. And for some reason,
I mean, like the whole entire inside of the tire was
shredded.
completely
Yeah, it was
gone from the rim.
I was like, I'm glad my
Separate.
rim's okay, because damn.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
But then we had to go to Discount Tire the next
that took a
morning,
long time.
and it was like, I guess
Everybody wanted to get their tires.
Saturday, August 30th. No, it was the 1st.
It was the 31st.
It was the 31st.
Yeah.
Is like the day everyone gets new tires, because it was like a 3-hour wait to get a tire.
Well, everyone was leaving for Labor Day. They wanted to get their tire pressure checked. They had to get their tires rotated.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
sucked.
know.
The point is, I had to buy a whole new tire. The tires are expensive. I hate buying tires.
We've had to buy 3 new tires last month.
I know.
So I had to get
like
2 new tires.
So
too.
we have part of our monthly budget has like auto maintenance as a
we blew that,
line
didn't
item.
we?
Well, and like the whole point is, like, you set aside like a certain amount each month, and then it builds up, and then when you need, you've already budgeted for that. We just haven't been able to actually set aside the money because we keep blowing up our budget, because it was like,
Because Scott likes movies.
no, I'm just talking about the auto stuff, Elise. I'm just talking about the amount of money we're supposed to be setting aside for auto maintenance, because we had all your stuff that went down.
Oh, yeah, that's
and then
true.
my stuff, and then
Oh, yeah. I even spent more money in July. Remember when we did the... Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to
we
say.
spent a lot of money on cars. Guys, being adult is hard.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
awful.
Elise, what's
Yeah.
your thorn?
So... exciting thing was, Labor Day weekend, but it's really bad is when you forget to turn your alarms off.
Oops.
And then so your 5 a.m. alarm goes off, then your 5:15 alarm goes off. So you wake up at 5:15 realizing, oh man, I don't want anything else to go
man.
off. So I turn my alarms off and then set one for 7:30 so that I wake up in enough time to get ready for my workout. But then Scott didn't turn his alarms off.
Scott, what'd you do?
I know. So it's just when you have a day off, it's nice, but it's not nice whenever you don't set or when you turn your alarms off, and then you just keep waking up and keep waking up and keep waking up, and you don't actually get to sleep in.
You know what I think the iPhone should do?
What?
It should pop up with a push notification. Tomorrow is a holiday. Do you want to keep your normal alarms?
Oh, that would be nice.
And then you say,
I bet you they'll do that
no.
eventually.
And you say no. Because I cannot be held responsible to remember things.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
need my device.
I know that.
What is with you today? These digs.
Hey,
these
babe, when's
mean
our
digs.
anniversary?
Which one? Our dating anniversary or our wedding
Our
anniversary?
wedding anniversary.
It is January 14th,
What year?
16.
16. No, it was 17.
17.
Scott.
Yeah, you're right, 17. You're the one who thought we've been together for 6 years today.
I know,
so
I was
don't
adding
even.
wrong. I also have not admitted to what I accidentally did in my calendar, but that's fine.
What'd you do?
I put our anniversary on the wrong day.
What day did you put it on?
January the 18th.
No, it's
I
April the
know.
Is
It
our date
it was on a Saturday, and I wanted to be able to put the sticker on a day where I wasn't gonna have anything else.
Nope.
So
Sorry.
I've
a
since
sticker?
corrected. Yeah. It's a happy day sticker.
Elise has a manual,
I have a nice
like
calendar.
a physical calendar.
I like it.
I just use.
I have to have it. It's just easier for me to
Google.
see. Anyways, so that's my thorn. What was your rose, though, Scott? What
My
was so
rose-
exciting this week?
Oh my God, Elise! Taylor Swift's new album is the fucking bomb.
Is it?
Yeah, I love this album. I think it's really good.
Have you listened to any of her other albums?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, really?
Many
I
times.
didn't know you liked her that much. Is it just that I don't like her a lot, so you don't listen to her in front of me?
No, you do this thing where you assume that your opinions are shared by everyone else in the world. So
They are.
If you don't
My
like
opinion's
something,
the only one that matters.
if you
Scott.
don't like something, everyone else in the world
Exactly.
must not like it.
It's
either.
true.
And you have an irrational, illogical hatred for Taylor Swift.
I just don't think that she's all that everyone cracks her up to be. But that's just me.
Yeah,
Just
it's
me.
It's the whole Meryl Streep syndrome. Any hugely successful woman, Elise gets immediately jealous of.
No.
Yeah, seems
No.
like it. Seems like it.
No.
How do you feel about Jennifer? What's her name? What's her name? Damn it!
Jennifer who?
Aniston popped in my head, but that's not the one.
Oh,
I'm
I like
thinking
Jennifer
of. That's not the one
Aniston.
I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Lawrence.
Oh, she's bad.
Yeah, there we go.
She's real bad.
I'm noticing a trend here.
But I like other people.
What do you think of Anne Hathaway?
You're just picking people that you know that I don't like.
Just picking a trend, baby. Just picking a trend. Anyway, so her new album, Lover, came out. I actually really like it. I like it a lot.
There are some really good songs on there.
And you know
I'll
what
give
it made
to
me
you.
realize? You know what it made me realize? I love being an adult. Because I remember
Why?
being a teenager, and I remember being so concerned
Mm-hmm.
with making sure that I was only liking the right music, right? You know, like
Oh, you just like what you want to like now, Scott.
yeah. I mean, some people I'm sure did that when they were children. But there were
Yeah.
people like me. I know there were people like me that were very like you wanted to like the right stuff. You were kind of self-conscious about the kind of like movies and shows and things that you liked. And that was always just me as a kid. And it's so nice to just not care. It's like I don't care. I listen to a whole shitload of stuff, and I don't care what
You need
anyone
to
else
calm
thinks about
down,
it. Yeah,
Scott.
exactly. Everyone, you need to calm down because I forgot that you existed, lover.
It wasn't hate, it's just indifference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good album. I think it's pretty good. Taylor Swift. I like Taylor Swift. She writes her own shit.
She does.
That's rare.
She does.
It's rare in the pop world.
Yeah.
All right, Elise.
I'm not going to go on a soapbox. Yes. What do I love about this week, Scott? We had a 3-day weekend. Any day where we can have a 3-day weekend and I get one more day just to relax, it is nice.
It
and
is
I
nice.
needed this 3-day weekend. So it was much deserved, much appreciated, despite the alarms.
Much deserved.
Much deserved.
I've earned this.
I had a rough couple weeks. Not that they were rough. It was just there's a lot going on. And sorry, I wanted a break. And I got a break. And I'm happy about it.
You're an administrator now. You got to work your ass off
I know.
to administrate.
I do.
All right. So that is Roses and Thorns. How about the rest of you out there? What is what's a
It's
good
a Rosie and a
bad
thorn.
of your week?
Where are they going to put it, Scott?
They can email us at dukemedia@gmail.com
Well, you've never shared that with them before.
or the Discord. Or they
But-
can comment on the episode on YouTube or our
that's true.
website.
So if you want to share your Rosies and Thornies, you can do it in any of those places.
Indeed.
Okay, Scott, we're ready.
We are
We're ready to talk about the gamble.
I'm a gambling man.
So tell me a little about this episode, Scott.
All right. Episode 103, The Gamble, it is the third episode. I forgot to change some
Yes, it is.
stuff
It's
on
the third episode.
It is the third episode of the OC. It was written by Jane Espenson and directed by Ian Toynton. It
Ah, what a name.
on August 19th, 2003. This is the first and only writing credit on the show for Jane Espenson, but is the first of 23 episodes directed by Ian Toynton. So
Why didn't you say my
gonna
girl?
I was going to get to that.
Jane Espenson. My girl.
Girl.
She's my girl.
So
Your
Ja-
girl.
Jane Espenson is a writer that I
Yeah.
really, really like.
You do?
She was probably my second favorite Buffy writer behind Joss Whedon himself. She's really talented. Also, Marty Noxon wrote on that show, and she's really great too.
Yeah, she did that other good show.
David Fury.
Unreal.
Buffy had a lot of great writers, but Jane Espenson has some of my favorite episodes outside the Joss Whedon ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw her name on this, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Looking forward to this one. So Elise,
It's going down for real. What? Oh, okay. So this episode, the summary for this episode that we're taking from the OC wiki. What did she say?
The wiki fandom.
The wiki fandom of the OC. So evidently Scott is not pleased with some of these summaries, but I'm just going to go ahead and read them anyway. They probably edit the same way I do, where they just write and then don't care.
So they don't edit. That's called not editing.
Yeah, so they don't edit. So anyways, Dawn, Ryan's biological mother, comes to visit her son in Newport Beach. But when she and the Cohens goes to the casino, the excessive drinking of Dawn only creates big problems. Seeing the disappointment on her son's face, the woman takes a difficult decision to leave Ryan so that he can live with the Cohens, doing perhaps for the first time in his life what is best for her son and not what was best for herself.
No, you changed it. You're supposed to leave it.
Well, it'd be confusing to people if I wrote it or read it the way that they wrote it.
I know, because my whole comment is going to be, this is a fucking mess. Because
what is best for his son is not always what's best for himself. And let's just talk about the fact that every single time that they're talking about the Cohens, it's always in the possessive form, even when it's not supposed to be in the possessive form. So obviously this person did not go and pay attention to their 3rd and 4th grade grammar lessons.
I hope the admin of the
it makes me cringe.
OC Wiki is not listening to this, but someone has to go in there and fix all this stuff.
Someone really does. I guess we could go in and fix it if everybody could. We could make the world a better place, one editing trip at a time.
All right, Elise, so what are your overall thoughts on this episode?
So, I like this episode. It's just another one of the fancy Newport parties where you get to see the dynamic of everybody at play. So, one of the characters that I really enjoy watching just because of how nasty she is Julie. And Julie just gets really nasty in this show. And it's the whole, the sparring sort of relationships are what is a lot of fun for me too. So the whole Sandy and Julie sparring, but the whole Marissa and Seth sparring in the last episode. Those are the things that I think makes the show fun.
Sure.
And again, the fact that it's not just between the kids, but it's with the adults too. So it's everybody is a fun character to watch and you see their relationships. And so I like the show. I like this episode. Yeah. It's a good one.
This is really the first time we got to see Julie Cooper in
her element.
Her full bitchy element.
Rawr.
She'd been kind of mean and dismissive in the earlier 2 episodes, but here she's just a total jerk. Just a total jerk. So I agree.
She is just cutthroat.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you think, Scott?
I loved this episode. I really did. And, it's difficult because I knew Jane Espenson wrote it before I went in. So
so you might not have
it's tough for me to
as much otherwise.
Right.
If you knew without.
It's how much is knowing that she wrote it influenced my opinion of the show. But I think this is the best episode of the 3 we've covered so far.
I would agree with that.
I think a lot of the character dynamics are really working off each other in really good ways. I think it's well written. The way that certain moments pay off, the whole payoff of the borrowed money thing happens in just a perfect. Every character is pinging off each other in a perfect way with that.
Oh, I like your dress.
It's fun.
Thanks, it's yours.
Seth is...
You didn't catch that, did you?
I didn't. Seth is really great in this episode. Ryan is a little more interesting in this episode, I think.
Ryan takes a long time for me to actually warm up and like him.
But overall, I really, really liked it. So I think I've not been disliking the show. I've been enjoying watching the show and talking about it with you. But this one, this is good. This is good TV right here.
This one hit you.
Yeah.
So Scott, this episode opens. Unlike any episode that we've ever seen before, Ryan is in juvie.
Again.
Shocker.
And Sandy,
how does he keep ending up there?
And Sandy's visiting Ryan in juvie.
Again.
So
and he's his lawyer. Again. Yeah. Still. This guy's keeping him some steady work. That's at least nice.
Well, he's a public defendant, so I don't think he's getting paid.
Well, anyways. Kirsten's company, Scott's decided to drop all the charges. So he's going to be released, except he has to wait 30 to 60 days unless they can find his parent. So you see out to the distance, Luke, as much as you dislike him, at least he gets released to his parents. And then Ryan gets stabbed in the heart.
Luke's mom gives him this big old hug, lovely hug, and Ryan's just sitting there watching it.
Sitting right across from the man that he wants to be able to take him home, but can't.
Yeah.
Because of Kirsten.
Right.
She's awful.
But we do get this line where he's saying, we're going to find your mother. And Ryan's like, what if I don't want to find her? And this is kind of the starting bit of the big theme of this episode, I think, which is Ryan's mom sucks.
Yeah. I mean, we already knew she wasn't
did.
good. She can't drive.
She can't drive.
She can't pick quality men.
She can't be a mom.
She can't. She's just not good.
She's not good with coins, as we'll find out later.
Ugh, way to spoil.
So we finish this cold open with Ryan getting in another fight, because that's what Ryan does. And he gets jumped by...
Every episode.
Weevil from Veronica Mars. Francis,
He's nasty
Francis
in this
Capra.
show, too.
Yeah. I think he's just in this episode, though, right? I don't think we see him ever again. Do we?
I don't know, Scott. Do we?
Yeah, so Weevil is a character on Veronica Mars. He was in a biker gang, and he was kind of a jerk at the beginning of the show, and then you warm up to him eventually. He got a little typecast here because he's playing a kid in juvie that just beats the shit out of Ryan. He's such a jerk.
Yep.
Such a jerk.
Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na,
You could do that
da-na-na-na-na-na,
every episode.
da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na.
All right, after the intro song, we are back at Casa del... Is it? I'm not good with Spanish. Cohen. And Kirsten prepares to have over the Noopsies.
Yes, I love that they're the Noopsies. I really enjoy hearing Sandy call them the Noopsies.
So why are they called the Noopsies?
Newport Beach.
Yeah, they're the Newport socialites.
Yeah.
And Kirsten is having them over, which includes Julie Cooper, your
Yes.
favorite, for a brunch to plan their
casino night.
next big fundraiser.
They can't have two black tie events in the same.
And Cotillion's coming up.
And so they couldn't do anything like really swanky casino. So they had to do something different.
Vegas night.
Yes.
But they're all still dressed up, so I don't really...
But they're not wearing black tie.
They're not wearing black tie.
It's true.
So yeah, let me just say that I was right. My first prediction being correct was that this was going to be a casino-related thing with the gamble.
Yes.
So
I do love how whenever Sandy leaves, he leaves with the statement of, I'm just, all the little socialite women that come in, and he's just saying how he's leaving to just go pick up some other random kid who's just going to cause havoc upon everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just the sarcasm with Sandy makes him one of my favorites.
maybe I'll find a black kid, maybe an Asian kid. It's just, and like the look on these women's faces, it's perfect. I mean, it's kind of perfect commentary on like this whole thing that they're just completely unwelcome. Like, I think the show would be even more interesting if the kid that he did help was a minority. I don't think they wanted to tackle that, and it's very 2003 that they're not going to tackle race stuff very much at all, but it would make an interesting twist on the show. But I mean, that's the thing, is nobody likes these people, right? Like, Sandy clearly doesn't like them. Seth hates them. Kirsten doesn't even seem to like them very much either. She's like, oh, well, I've been friends with them my entire life. And it's good doing establish that she is part of this world.
But she
left.
Ain't. She left and she decided to break away, and she married Sandy, and then she ended up working for her dad. So she came back. So she's trying to be in this world because that's what she's known, and she knows how to fit in.
But she doesn't.
But her entire family still is not the type of person, and doesn't want to be the type of person that needs to conform to be like these people. Word. Yeah. You stand strong, Cohens.
Yeah, Cohens. The only good rich people, right? That's what the whole OC is about. There's three good rich people, and they're all named Cohen.
Yeah.
So we do some fun cross-cutting back and forth between the fancy food that they're eating at the brunch to the slop that Ryan is being served in juvie. This is just like a really quick scene. It's kind of awkward, but basically Ryan just gets beaten up again.
Yep.
Weevil jumps him and stabs him in the neck with a fork.
Every episode, Scott. Every episode he gets beat up, which is nice.
He hasn't been punched in the face yet, though. Just fork stabbed. No face punching.
But you know.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's working its way up.
Where are the guards?
Start with the neck.
Where are the guards in this place?
You know, I was thinking about that. And there's this other show that we've been watching. And I think that they're all just in the women's center.
Oh, you're talking about Orange is the New Black. Yeah.
No, you know, these guards, they just don't really care, because if they destroy each other, then it's less people for them to care about, you know? So just let them go to town.
Pretty devastating review from Elise on our justice system. But
I mean, but that's honestly.
Yeah, and this is juvie. They're supposed to be
they
children.
Just take care of themselves.
Children.
That's fine. Yeah, so Seth decides he wants to go and see Ryan. And so Seth, being his super sneaky stealth self.
Super
Stealth.
sneaky stealth self.
That's
I don't know why you constructed a sentence that complicated.
I don't either,
you
but
pulled
it
it off.
worked. Yeah. He decides to leave. Bumps into his mom on the way out.
Because she's hiding from the noopsies.
Those noopsies. But before he does, he wants to invite Marissa, Scott, because Marissa and him
Where?
to go visit Ryan.
Yeah, but you hadn't said that yet.
Well, he's going to visit Ryan, so we were saying he wanted to go invite Marissa. So he goes over to invite Marissa. And Scott, this is where we get this episode's Is Seth Creepy? But really, we have to also talk about Summer because, so yes, Summer is changing. And like you've pointed out, she's always in something that shows her midriff and
Every
her
episode,
boobies.
she has either been in a bikini or now she's in
Yes.
Marissa's room changing and she's wearing a bra.
But we have to also talk about, is Summer, I guess, creepy? I don't know what we want to say because she's totally into Marissa's dad.
Well, she's making a joke. I didn't read too much into that. Like, because she's changing and Marissa's like, my dad's home. And Summer's like, oh, but yeah. Because she's still the same Summer from the first two episodes where
Yeah,
she's not.
she is.
I think they're slowly, we're going to talk about maybe some changes with Summer coming up, but
yeah?
not quite yet. And of course, Jimmy Cooper leads Seth into Marissa's room, opens the door, and there's Summer.
Topless.
Well, she's
Well,
wearing
she's
a
in
bra.
a bra.
Yeah.
And Seth gets that googly-eyed face on him. And Jimmy does the right thing. Jimmy's like, oh my gosh. Turns
me,
around and walks
immediately
away.
walks away.
Now Seth. In this episode of Is Seth Creepy? Yes.
At least.
Seth is very
Elise,
creepy in this
isn't that
episode
creepy?
because Seth stares. Seth stares, gets a smile on his face, and he's like, hey, I'm Seth Cohen. I live next door.
I live next door, yeah.
She's like, yeah,
And she's just like creeped out because it's creepy.
it is. It's creepy. And
so-
then poor Seth.
Well, hang on. We need to spend some time on this.
Okay, spend some
Because
time on
there
it.
could be some young men listening to this show. And I want to tell you, young men, the correct protocol for if you accidentally walk in on someone who is less dressed than they would like you to see them is to immediately look away and apologize.
Yes,
Just
do the
what
Jimmy
Do
Cooper.
the Jimmy Cooper.
Do that, Jimmy Cooper. Nah, do that. I feel like it should be a dance.
Don't be like Seth. And I'm tired of having to do this segment. At least I didn't want this to be a weekly segment. I wanted this to be every so often Seth is going to be a little creepy
No,
segment.
Seth's creepy.
But it's 3 episodes, 3 segments, and the answer each time has been yes.
Yes.
Seth is creepy.
Seth is creepy. So Marissa quickly jumps up and tries to help correct the situation of Seth staring and getting all
By closing the door so her friend wouldn't get
closing the door, but then
ogled by
also
an inappropriate man.
saying that he's going to go to a Star Wars convention.
What's
But
that? You want to
poor
ride to the
Seth.
Star Wars convention?
Poor Seth. He just, I mean, I would be like, oh my gosh, Star Wars convention, let's go. But Summer would definitely not. And poor guy, he's trying. His game's just so bad.
But you know what he says here, and this is very 2003 to me. You know what he says? He said, Star Wars convention, you could have at least said X-Men.
Star Wars would have been the best thing to do nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, like in 2000, like I think the first X-Men movie came out in 1999. I think X-Men 2 came out in like 2002. So I think X-Men right now are the hotness. So X-Men are like the forefront of comic book stuff being cool.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
But Marissa
says no.
She says no. She's not going with him. She can't. She's choosing Luke. She's not.
She's choosing Star Wars.
What? No,
Luke.
she's not.
Luke, you're my only hope.
Oh, I get it. I get your joke. It was just bad.
I've been hanging out with you too long. My sense of humor is just plummeting.
All right, so they go to the prison without Coop. It's just Seth and Kirsten. How do you feel about the fact that, like, they make it pretty clear that the only reason Kirsten has agreed to go to the prison is because it's an excuse to get away from the noopsies? I don't know if I like that. I don't know. Kind of makes her seem like she's totally indifferent and to Ryan
Well, it's
until
that,
she gets
and
there.
she also wants to make sure probably that Seth is not going to be unsafe.
I guess.
So it's twofold.
I guess. But yeah, they get there and Kirsten immediately sees how freaking terrible this place is.
Yeah, you can see it on her face.
Yeah,
She's scared.
Just so many cuts to her face of looking scared and concerned. It doesn't help that our boy Weevil once again proves that he's a terrible jerk and immediately starts sexually harassing Kirsten.
And then
Ryan steps up and defends her and gets punched in the face.
The honorable man.
Ding! That's punch in the face number 3 for
And
Ryan.
Kirsten feels so bad that she decides to take him home.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Ryan out of juvie, back at home again. Sandy walks in and is upset and then realizes what she's done, and he's happy.
Yeah, but it is still only temporary, right? It is not a permanent solution.
That's true.
It is just until they find his mother, because Sandy says, we got to stop jerking this kid around and telling him, you can live with this, you can't live with this, you can live with this.
It's true. So he's not going to unpack.
No.
Ryan's like, I guess I won't unpack then.
And he's so sad.
Yes, but they still need his help because, you know, if you can take that many punches and forks to the neck, you gotta have some muscles on ya. And when we're gonna go and have all of these rich people spend their money, what better than have someone who doesn't have any just to go lift and help out? You know?
I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which getting stabbed in the neck with a fork makes you stronger.
And I mean, I feel like if you get stabbed in the neck with a fork, it's probably gonna need like a bandage over it or some other work.
Nope.
There's just nothing except seeing.
I got it, Elise.
What?
The fork that he got stabbed with
Uh-huh.
had some spinach on it. He Popeyed him with the fork, and that's why he can lift all the heavy things.
He is a sailor man.
Yeah.
Him and Seth, they do get on that sailboat. I'm telling you, it's true.
He Popeyed him.
He is Popeye.
He does help set up for the casino night. And of course, Julie, Marissa, and Luke are all there.
Yes.
And so it's super awkward because Julie is not happy to see him. Marissa is not happy to see him. And Luke is not happy to see him at all. Hey, this casino night, Elise.
Yeah,
Holy
about it.
shit. This is the most elaborate thing I've ever seen. Like, they've got full...
You didn't have things like this at your high school?
I've been to
your town?
It's not a casino. It's not a high school thing, is it?
No, it's just their city.
Yeah.
I mean, we did things like this all the time.
Like,
Scott.
I've been to casino nights, right? That
Yes.
you buy
I didn't do things like this all the time.
you buy some tables, you buy some like cheap card tables, and like some like you rent the blackjack table and like the roulette wheel. You rent all this stuff, and then that's it. But this place has like full-sized rows of slot machines,
Yeah.
like 30 different. It's absurd.
You
It's
go to
absurd. Newport Beach, calm the fuck down. How did they plan this thing in what I'm guessing is a day? Because like they met one
No,
day.
it had to be longer than that. I mean, the efficiency with these people, Marissa and her burn CD, and now these women and their
really.
Vegas party. I mean, there is nothing that these Newport women cannot do,
That's
and they
true.
set their mind to it.
They can put a whole
the power of the
cinematic
Noopsies
together.
come together and unite.
Except for, I mean, I guess it's for charity, right? I guess. I wonder how much. Which charity was this? Did they even say? I forgot.
It's probably like the
Just for charity.
gambling addicted people or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
perfect. That's perfect.
that. Yeah.
All right, so Ryan, while he's at the casino night, attempts to patch things over with Marissa, but Marissa says no. And then Ryan also attempts to patch things over with Luke, and Luke says, "We're done. We're done." And he storms off.
Which, I mean, I guess I kind of get why he would be upset. The fact that he was injured, but he did that, and he.
No, he's mad.
I mean,
I don't
he
think he's mad at him because
owned
of that. I think he's mad at him because he's talking to his girlfriend. And this is why Luke is a
He
fucking
just seemed
hypocritical
upset before.
asshole.
Yeah, he is.
He's so mad at Marissa for talking to Ryan.
But Holly,
And he's
Bangtown.
He banged that
He
chick.
took her to Bangtown multiple times.
And he's being so indignant throughout this whole episode to Marissa. He's like, well, you really hurt me going over there and talking to that kid. What are you doing with him? And of course, like, yeah, Marissa digs him, so she's definitely going to cheat on him. But you cheated first, Luke.
That's true.
Stop being all like holier than thou. I didn't do anything wrong, guy.
That's true.
Luke. Anyway,
Yeah. So then we go to my favorite scene, Scott, in this whole episode. this scene, Scott. I think if we just were to cut in this 3-5 minutes, it would be perfect.
perfect.
It'd be perfect.
Sandy Cohen is sitting at a coffee shop working, and who should
Yes.
walk in, Elise?
Julie and her noopsy friend. I don't remember her name, but I know that she comes up in a lot of other episodes. And she is the mom of some high school student, but I can't remember who her child is. So they're coming in and they are talking mad trash about Ryan and about Sandy and about just bringing these people into their town and just doing whatever they want to.
And they're talking about how Kirsten doesn't know what's going on with her family because all she does is work and she's actually a shitty mother. They're talking shit.
Okay. So Sandy walks up. Sandy says, couldn't help overhearing. To which Julie says, oh, I hope you're not mad. Mad? Offended? No! I am disappointed and frankly a little surprised. You know, this is supposed to be a neighborhood who welcomes outsiders. I mean, I'm all the way from the Bronx and you're from Riverside, right? Which is not that different from where Ryan's from. Takes a piece of the muffin. Thanks for the muffin. And leaves.
He takes the middle part of the top of the muffin and he just like goes,
yeah.
And
that is Sandy right there.
Fucking epic. It is one of the most satisfying moments of this entire episode that he just lays into her in like the most calm, like he doesn't yell, he doesn't get angry, he just burns her with that Riverside.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just disappointed. Yeah. It's like the perfect adult manipulation to children. Perfect. You know, it's like, no.
That Jane Espenson, she can sure write some dialogue.
But then the best part about that is then afterwards, whenever Julie goes home and Jimmy's just there sitting on the couch eating a bag of potato chips, eating basketball still.
Eating basketball?
Eating, you know what I meant. Anyways, so she just storms in. She's just, like tooting her little horn and just so upset.
Tooting her little horn.
Anyways, I was just trying to.
I wish you could see what Elise is doing right now with her body.
I'm walking like Julie right now, and she's really just funny. Her elbow or her shoulders are just back and forth, and she's just got her little prissy steps on, and then she's like, "Honey, you are not going to believe what Sandy Cohen said to me.
What?
He was like, he said that I was from Riverside.
Honey, you are from Riverside."
It was his tone.
I love it. But as part of this rant,
so good.
As part of this rant, Julie turns her ire to Kirsten Cohen. Yeah. And in the world of Jimmy, you can't say anything bad about Kirsten.
No, because Jimmy loves Kirsten.
Yeah, because Jimmy says, don't bring her into this. She's the reason why we're still...
She's paying for that coffee, Julie.
She doesn't say that.
No, but practically.
Basically, he tells Julie about the $100,000 that he was loaned by Kirsten.
By Kirsten.
So
Kiki.
that is a great... I've heard nobody call her Kiki yet. And
Julie calls her Kiki. And Dad.
I was listening to last week's episode, and every time I said Kirsten in last week's episode, Kiki? You went Kiki. Every single time. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. I said Kirsten, you go Kiki.
Because that's what the Noopsies call her.
Sure, but
and her
why
dad calls her. I just think it's funny.
So
anyways.
That's a bombshell that's surely going to pay off in some way later in the episode, right?
Yes. Cut to Ryan and Kirsten working to prepare for casino night.
They're bonding.
They have a moment, Scott, and their moment is whenever she realizes that Ryan is actually interested in the work that she does and understands.
Yeah, because she's tried to explain it to Seth before and he fell asleep.
And Seth does not care.
Seth doesn't care.
He thought his mom built doll houses for a living, I'm sure.
But Ryan worked in construction, and so he knows a little bit about the biz, and he's very interested.
He knew about her company and the things that her company built.
He did. And he said he used to want to be an architect once upon a time.
Now what does he want to be, Scott?
17. He wants to live to 17.
So does she.
But I mean that's a really great... I think that's a really great character moment where I like Ryan, where he, like, the past tense there, I think is a really effective tool just to show how what was established in the first episode. He's a guy that had all these dreams, and then life circumstances have ripped these dreams away from him, and he can only say in past tense what he dreamed to be.
Yeah.
But she sees something. There's a moment later in the scene where they're walking back into the house, and she's like excitedly talking to him about all the old houses and the old architecture in the Newport area. He can show her, and he's very excited about that. She can show him, and he's very excited about that. And there's like she's tried to stay as far away from this boy as possible. She's tried to not get to know him. She's tried to not get involved with him. She doesn't like this boy, doesn't like him here. And this is the first moment in the show where we've seen their common bond a little bit. We've seen them connect a little bit. And that's
And
pretty
it's
cool.
sweet because he has never been able to connect with probably a woman that he has admired in that capacity either. And so I think it's a really good moment where she gets to have that almost son relationship where someone's interested in her and what she does, and he gets to do that with her too.
Yeah.
But anyways, so while he's having this moment with his not mom, but what he would want to be his mom, Sandy's off in the distance and he finds Ryan's mom and he brings her home.
He does.
And Ryan is not happy.
He's not. She apologizes and she says, I'm sorry. She wants a fresh start. She's sober now. Ryan is really unsure because he's just like, you left me a note, which is, that is really fucked up. It's one thing to abandon your kid. It's another thing to abandon your kid and just leave him a note to find out that way. But she wants another chance and he gives it to her. He's very hesitant. He's very unsure about it, but he is willing to give her another chance. And
it's Ryan, the good old boy.
I really like the speech she gives, though. This little monologue she gives. Yeah, because she's like, you were always the smartest one, right? Like, when I married your father, I was too young. When I had Trey, your older brother, I was too young. But you were the one. You were going to be okay. And you were, to me, a symbol of, I'm a good person. I'm a good mother. You're smart. You had dreams. You had goals. And when I saw you got arrested, I saw myself as a failure. And I just couldn't handle it anymore. That's a great speech. It really...
It's a lot of pressure on that kid,
It is a lot of pressure on him.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But, so he's going to tentatively give her another shot.
So they have family dinner. They have lemonade to drink.
Fancy.
The Rosa, she's back. She mysteriously comes in and out. Yes. She's in the first one, not in the second one. Now Rosa's back. Yay, Rosa. Yeah. Anyways, so at the table... Kirsten finds out, Dawn is just jumping from house to house. And so Kirsten's like, well, you can just stay here. And then Ryan, he gets kind of upset, but he's going to accept it because if mom stays, then he gets to stay and he definitely wants to stay.
He does.
So, yeah.
But then Kirsten does a thing. I don't know if I like this. Kirsten... They're basically at the point where it's the next morning. They've spent the morning hanging out with each other. And Seth is not sure about this because he's like, how do we trust this woman? And Kirsten is the same way. So she doesn't want them to leave yet. So she invites Dawn to casino night. She's sober. She says drinking is a problem with her. The show does not say she's an alcoholic, but drinking is a problem. And she's being invited to Vegas night with lots of alcohol and lots of gambling. I don't know if this is a good idea.
It's probably not the smartest idea, but
do you think in the back of Kirsten's mind somewhere there's, I want to test her. I want to let's throw her in a situation where she's going to be tempted.
I don't know if it was a want to test her. I think it was probably more of I want to do some. I don't think it was a testing. It was just probably I'm wanting to keep her around. I'm wanting to show her, let's make an effort and let's show Ryan that his mom is making an effort. I don't know if it was more for her, more for Ryan.
Yeah. I think that's a much more charitable interpretation than mine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a good idea bringing this woman to a booze-filled casino night.
It's never actually stated in later episodes or now, but from background information and on reading things and in context, you do find out later about Kirsten's mom. And her mom had drinking problems.
Okay.
And so I think that she also, with that sort of context, maybe thought her mom could have, I think that it wasn't I'm trying to be mean. It was probably my mom, even if she had struggled with this, she was able to do it because this is the world that we were in. And so she,
sure.
She had an idea of how to help handle the situation.
Sure. Man, makes sense.
But it was just probably not very smart. And that is just, I'm telling you that because later also you're probably going to be wondering some things that happen and it's not very clearly stated, but it is in background things that you read.
I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. Yeah. You be the judge of it.
All right. So let's go to casino night.
So much fun. Dice, slots, cards, dresses.
Those are all
Everyone
the things that
having a party.
that is what
Let's
happens.
gamble.
This is like a Rowan scene here where there's like 16 different things going on at the same time.
It's a gamble to take Dawn to the
It was
the
a
party.
gamble to take Dawn to the party. So first, we get to the casino night and Luke's hanging out with his mom and she's gambling and winning, but drinking tonic water. No booze at first.
That you mean Ryan was hanging out with his mom? You said Luke was hanging out with his mom.
Ryan was hanging out with his mom, and then Ryan sees Marissa, goes over and talks to her, and we get to
Immediately Dawn switches to the alcohol.
Well, but my favorite moment in this is that Ryan's talking to Marissa, and Marissa's kind of still blowing him off or whatever. And then you hear a slot machine go off, and the camera tilts, and it's Luke playing the slots right behind him. And he just looks angry and just like angrily
He's so
pulls the
mad.
slot machine. It's just like he's standing there looking like, slot machine pull. It's just really funny. I don't understand why it happened that way. But so as soon as Ryan moves away, his mom's hand starts to shake a little bit because she's an alcoholic, and she ends up getting some alcohol. She orders a 7 and 7, which
The same drink.
is the same drink that Ryan
Yes.
ordered in the pilot. He
Yes.
learned it from watching her.
Ugh. But he's not making all those mistakes the same that his mom made.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we're going around. We're feeling out some other relationships that are happening. You know, whenever they walk in, I already said that they walked up. Sandy and Kirsten walked up to Julie and Jimmy, and Kirsten complimented Julie's dress, and she gave "Oh, thank you, it's yours," because they paid for it with the money. So
Yeah, it's
Julie's
such a
just
confusing
she's
scene.
just letting those things slide in
Mm-hmm.
and slide in. But I want to talk about Scott, my favorite people. That is Seth creepy.
Your boy Seth.
My boy, he gets a little bit of his footing in this episode.
Yeah, so
Scott.
Seth is walking along, and some dice fall on the floor.
No,
and he-
let me be the nice
and
guy
he
and pick
picks
them up.
And who is there? But
It's Summer.
And Summer says, "I'm superstitious. Blow on these." And of course, he thinks she's talking about her boobs because it's Seth Cohen, but she's talking about the dice. And then she wins the roll. They're playing craps, and then
Thanks, Stanley.
you're my lucky charm. You're not leaving me all night. And Seth Cohen is the happiest little boy I've ever seen. But of course, she doesn't get his name right at all. But yeah, I mean, that's
Anytime she doesn't get his name right,
he spends the entire night hanging out with Summer. So that's a little,
he's so
he's
excited.
a little excited.
Every time. It's just the cutest little thing. Yes. And then cut to Julie going up to Sandy and saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You don't know who your true friends are until you're in need. That $100,000 really saved
Thank
us."
you so much.
And Sandy being the good actor he is. Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Just glad to help.
And then he fucking beelines over to Kirsten and is like, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says a statement that's more money than I make in a year, which he is a
Yeah,
public defendant,
sure.
so that makes a lot of
It's
sense.
her money, though.
Yeah, it's my money. And Sandy, understandably, is like, "Look, it's not even about the money. It says you didn't tell me, and I know you and this dude have history, and he's clearly still in love with and you're clearly still in love with him, and that's why I'm pissed off right now."
Which,
and then,
rightly so.
yeah, absolutely. If you give a lot of money to your ex-boyfriend without telling me, I'd be pretty mad at you.
I mean, I would tell you about it.
I'd still probably be pretty
You'd
mad.
find out on Mint anyways.
Yeah, I'd find out on Mint, but I'd be mad at you. And then,
Yeah, you would.
you know who doesn't help the situation, though? Jimmy Cooper.
Jimmy.
By walking over and
Because
being
he
like,
sees Kirsten in trouble and he thinks, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go save the day."
her.
You know
Thanks,
what, Jimmy?
Jimmy.
Just go and screw up your life on your own and
Yeah,
don't involve
Jimmy.
Kirsten in any
Why
of
don't you
this.
talk to the Securities and Exchange Commission,
Yeah.
Jimmy?
Jimmy.
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 But at this point, Ryan's mom, who has had one too many, grabs out for another drink from a waiter and falls into him and crashes and makes a scene. And here's the important...
Yes, the important part is who comes to save the day, Scott?
Seth Cohen,
Seth leaves Summer, you mean?
he leaves Summer behind
leaves
and
her?
he gives her the dice and says good luck, and he leaves Summer to go help out Ryan's mother, because that's what a good freaking guy he is.
But you know what, Scott?
What?
Someone else leaves a woman. Who else?
Luke.
Luke?
Well, the interesting...
Do you mean Luke as in the one who is in juvie with Ryan at the very beginning who says he doesn't like Ryan, really?
I do.
You mean that Luke?
I mean that Luke. But here's the thing is, Marissa rushes to help, right? So there's like, remember those two dudes that are making fun of Ryan's mom by saying, she's so wasted. I bet you could bang her.
Yeah.
And Marissa says, shut up. And then she goes to try to help, but Luke kind of stops her and says, no, I'll do it, right? So he's still like super protective of her, and she acquiesces to that because she's trying to repair the stuff with him. But yeah, Luke goes and helps out. And that made me realize that, like, we talked in the pilot episode about how in the OC you were either good or bad, right? You got put, and then in the second episode we had the episode where we learned more about Luke and realized he's a little more complicated than that. In the third episode we had Ryan's mother, where we learned a little about her, and she was more complicated than that. So I'm feeling bad about putting these dudes in boxes.
Well, maybe you shouldn't put people in boxes, Scott. Maybe you should give people a chance.
I will not put anyone in any more boxes.
And if you do, at least cut a hole where they can breathe.
Yeah. So they carry away the drunk Dawn. Everyone's embarrassed. She says, I messed it up. I screwed it up. She's so sorry. And the next morning, she wakes up and she packs up all her stuff and she goes to sneak away to abandon her son once again. But Kirsten finds her before she gets away. And that made me realize, Elise, that people in this show are very, very bad at sneaking away from each other.
Are they?
They are. They're really terrible at it.
Or is everyone just trying to be so sneaky that there are only just a few paths and they're just all trying to be sneaky at the same time?
Nobody in the show has ever successfully snuck away from anything. Ever. They've always been caught by at least one person.
That's true. But think about how much conflict it brings.
It is great because then there's this whole conversation between Dawn and Kirsten, where she tells him that she's terrible at this whole mom thing, unlike Kirsten, the way your husband looks at you, the way your kid looks at you, hell, the way my kid looks at you. You hold your family together. I tear mine apart. And you can see a huge effect this is having on Kirsten.
Yeah.
It's a huge...
And I think it's also, you think about her and you think about Sandy. And Sandy's always been the one that's the go-getter, the one who I feel like empathizes with people and people recognize as someone who is a glue, you know? And I don't know if Kirsten has ever seen herself in that sort of light. I feel like she's always just been the one who is kind of the engine and just keeps things going, but doesn't really have time to show that she cares about other people. So she doesn't realize exactly what she does.
Yeah.
And I don't think it wasn't until she said that to her that it finally clicked for her about what she does.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the episode, I think what Julie Cooper was saying about Kirsten had a bit of truth to it, right? Where she's complaining in the coffee shop about how she's the workaholic who's always at work and doesn't know what's going on with her family. I think that is a terrible, mean thing to say, but I think there's a perception of truth to that. And I think it's something that Kirsten feels as well. So that kind of support from someone like that, like, allows her to reframe, you know, how lucky she is and how important this is to her. Yeah. And that is the thing that finally convinces her we got to let Ryan stay. I think it's a perfect Jane Espenson moment, though, in that Ryan still wakes up to see his mother leave, right? So we've had this whole big speech and you've realized that she thinks that leaving her kid with these people is probably the best thing she's ever done for him. But then we still have this moment where he walks out the door and sees her leaving, and there's this little like sad wave where they just kind of wave at each other. They don't even like hug. They just kind of wave, and then she walks away. It's very sad.
And then Kirsten says he can stay, and he gets this really cute little goofy smile on his face, and he's like, I'll unpack later.
He's so adorable. He's so happy. We have never seen Ryan this happy in all 3 episodes of the show. He's so happy to be staying. And that's it.
And Seth is too.
Yeah, Seth is very, because Seth immediately takes him aside and then starts talking to him. The show doesn't even say this, but it's very clear. He's like recounting every minute of his evening with Summer.
And Ryan just looks super like not annoyed, but he's just like, oh gosh.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, sure, buddy, whatever.
Yep. You really picked a winner with that one. So that was the episode, Scott, and we're gonna move on to now, after thinking about everything that happened in this episode, what makes this episode so 2000s?
All right, Elise, what are the nominees for That's So 2000s this week?
Well, Scott, unfortunately for you, this all revolves around style and fashion. So you may or may not know exactly what is super 2000s and what is super not 2000s. But let me tell you, these Juicy Couture style sweatsuits that were matching, like the pink one that Julie had on. You know which one I'm talking about now?
I do.
Those were way early 2000s. And they're actually coming back a little bit. Ugh. Those velvet, sweatsuits. So that was number one. Number two, Scott, whenever Marissa was straightening her hair, she had this lime green straightener that was this hardcore brand. Let me tell you, Chi was and still is a really good brand of straightener. Them. But in the early 2000s, everybody wanted this hardcore one, primarily because it was used on the show.
The name of the brand is Hardcore?
No, it was from the Tony and Guy hair salon. It was their brand, and Tony and Guy was this huge big salon. I mean, they're still around, but it was very popular in the early 2000s, and it was their brand.
But it's called Hardcore.
Yeah, it says Hardcore on it.
That's weird.
Yeah. So that's the second one. The third one, Scott, is all of the body glitter. So maybe you didn't notice.
I didn't notice this.
But when Marissa was at the casino, she had on her, it was that, gel sort of thing that had the glitter in it, and you put it all over your body so that you would sparkle. And then also Summer had on her shoulder a little dice body jewel tattoo. It was really popular to make your skin sparkly.
Wow.
So those are my three picks for that. So 2000.
I am going to pick the Juicy Couture style sweatsuit because I remember those and I remember hating those. So that as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I remember that shit.
Yeah, they're coming back.
Yeah.
Juicy
I dated
Couture
a girl in
back.
college who had one of those.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
The other thing.
Hers was pink.
I don't know if they're in this season or not, but you remember the Victoria's Secret sweatpants that had the word pink on the bottom?
Oh yeah, I remember
those. Were big
those.
too.
Are those coming back too?
I don't know.
Do those ever leave?
I think that they did, but it was always, controversial because if you get something like that and it's on your bottom, then people are going to be staring at your bottom the whole time.
It's encouraging people to stare at your bottom.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be encouraging people to go and stare at your bottom.
Is it encouraging people to stare at your bottom, or is it just assuming that that's where they were looking already?
Well, that's where the print is.
And you might as well get some advertisement out of it.
Yeah. So, anyways, now we're going to move on, Scott, to the relationship status. We're going to go through relationship status quickly. First up, Scott, we have Luke and Coop. Tell me about the relationship status for Luke and Coop.
All right, last week we gave Luke and Marissa Cooper a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
But this week, Ryan explains to Luke that nothing happened between him and Marissa, and that makes Luke a little bit happy. And they finished the episode holding hands. Relationship repaired. 8 out of 10 this week.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good, Scott. Yeah. So next up we have Coop and Ryan. So it's this triangle of relationships that's going on right here. And last week we gave Coop and Ryan a 5 out of 10. Mm-hmm. This week Marissa is clearly still into Ryan, but she's still angry at him for what he said and is committed to making things work with Luke. And because she's committed to making things work with Luke, despite fighting those feelings that she has for Ryan, we're going to knock them down from a 5, Scott, to a 3. So Coop and Ryan have a 3 out of 10. And moving on, we have Seth and Summer. Scott, what about Seth and Summer this week?
Will you breathe? Just breathe and
I am breathing.
Pause and before we move on to the next thing, just pause.
I'm breathing, and you're supposed to take over.
Seth and Summer. Last week we gave them 3 out of 10.
Okay.
And this week Seth was creepy again.
Still, but making headway.
But after casino night, there's a chance that Summer actually knows who he is now, even if she cannot remember his name.
Okay.
I'm giving him a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. All right. So that's halfway to 10. And we're going to move now to Sandy and Kirsten Cohen, one of our married couples, Scott. Mm-hmm. Last week, Sandy and Kirsten had an 8 out of 10, but the secret of the loan comes up and the relationship takes a hit, Scott. We're going to be cutting down that 8 out of 10. They do manage to patch things up by the end, and Kirsten's interaction with Dawn makes her realize how much she actually loves her family. So we're going to cut a little bit off, but we're not going to do too much. They go from an 8 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. And now we're moving on to our final married couple. We have Jimmy and Julie Cooper. Scott, how are Jimmy and Julie Cooper doing this episode?
Well, last week we gave them a 5 out of 10 because they had that delightful anecdote about the one time they watched a basketball game together. But this week, Julie Cooper learned about the handout.
Oh,
And
no.
status is everything to Julie Cooper.
It is.
And the idea that she might lose it is not good for their relationship. So we are bumping them back down to a 3 out of 10.
It's not good, Scott. They took a big knockdown. They did.
No new relationships to discuss this
Nope.
week. I
No
feel like
new.
that's going to be changing, though. I feel like
Maybe. Is that one of your Scott speculations?
Scott speculation. I think, and again, this is one of those things. I think there's going to be a girl for Seth. Be a new. We got one love triangle. We need another love triangle.
do.
Here's my speculation is that every single one of these relationships is going to be in a love triangle by the end of the season, and therefore, we got to add a new girl for Seth. I think the adult Coens already set that up with Jimmy, but I think Julie needs someone too. So yeah, I'm gonna say there's gonna be a girl coming up for Seth pretty soon, and she's gonna be like super nerdy and super different from Summer. That's my guess. Also, I think the next episode is going to be
It's called The Debut.
It's called The Debut, and so obviously that means they're going to be debuting Ryan to Newport. But I think they're going to go to school. That's what I think. I think we're going to finally get to high school.
Okay.
Seems like we've established our status quo.
Yeah.
Time to go to high school.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to see.
All right.
And now we're going to move on to recapping
How do we do
Bachelor
this?
in Paradise.
Because we haven't watched it yet.
I know.
How do we do that?
So we're just going to pause it and then maybe I'll record it after.
I have stuff to record.
Okay,
tonight.
Scott. Well, then here's what we're going to do. This week, no BIP recap.
No BIP recap.
Next week, longer
no
BIP cap.
No BIP. No
Next
BIP,
week is a longer
no
BIP cap.
No BIP. I hate this show and we don't have to recap it.
So, Scott, next week we'll move on to the debut, and that's all that we have time for right now. But if you do like this podcast, you can check out all the other shows that we do over at doofmedia.com.
Also, consider donating to our Patreon account. That's patreon.com/doofmedia. You can pledge $1 a month or whatever else you can afford. Elise, what can they get if they pledge? And what do they have to give up? And then what can they get?
So it depends on how, do you really have to give up anything? Or it's just the satisfaction of knowing that you are giving to something that is great enough. It's just giving. We're not going to give up. We're just going to give. We're not going to see it.
Wow.
Yeah. We're just going to think of the positive side.
Wise.
Exactly. But if you do give, then you will also get something.
Mm-hmm.
You could get to participate in the Discord. You could get to pick the book club book for 1 month.
Yeah.
You could get to pick something that Scott and Matt are going to watch and then talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you could get.
You could get, that's pretty much it. But there's some other stuff on there too. You could get, you could get yourself to patreon.com/doofmedia and find out all the things that you could get.
Yes. Also, if you are listening via Apple Podcasts, why don't you just go over there and, follow the people who write review or summaries for the wiki and just write us something. Don't worry about editing it. Don't worry about it. Just write it.
What?
Don't go back and look over it. You can just write it. Give us a review and rating over at applepodcast.com. Nope, not .com. Just over at Apple Podcasts. Over at Apple Podcasts, just, log right on in and just write something. Write something guys. Nice.
Until next week. See you later from the OC.
Did you really say it though?